Hey guys, welcome back to Entrepreneurship. This week, I'm actually shifting gears a little bit because I have been building more websites and sales pages for clients, and I haven't been talking about it on here, but honestly, it is one of my favorite parts of the business because for as left-brained as I can be and as data-driven as I can be, I really love aesthetic and design and making something beautiful, and I really love marrying the two, which honestly you get in all areas that we support within the business, and being able to create something that not only looks good, but also is powerful and drives your business. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because obviously it's par for the course. When someone is coming to us because they need a new website or they need a new sales page, it's because it's not holding up right now and it's not doing what they want it to do. But I'm seeing this bigger disconnect because so often clients will be like, I just want something that looks better, that's kind of more reflective of me, which is great. Yes, obviously we want that. But what I see a lot of people missing is that real, how do we turn it into a sales driver? How do we actually make sure that it works for us rather than just be something that looks good? And I will say that the whole point of this episode is that I want you to be able to take this and implement it into your own site and start to have a frame of reference of, well, what should we want our website to do? What should we want it to look like? How do we make sure that it's actually working for us? But so the two main issues that I'm seeing are issue one, a site looks great, but it's not doing anything for the business. And great is relative because sometimes the site looks good enough, but it's not doing anything for the business. And then the second issue that I see is sites look kind of terrible. They look outdated. They are outdated. The information is just so wrong and no longer reflects the company or the person anymore. And while that is obviously an issue in itself, the bigger issue that I see are the embarrassment and the confidence blocks that come up in that. Because when you have that use case, and I've heard it from so many people when they came to me, I've literally heard people say, when someone asks me for my website, I don't want to send it to them, or I do not send it to them, or I send it to them with like a million caveats. And like, that's not a great way to start a business relationship. And also, that's probably not going to turn into a business relationship. So if you have something that's supposed to be helping you sell, helping you build credibility, helping to bridge that connection between people just getting to know you to people being like, oh my God, I need to work with them, like that's not going to happen. And so also in this episode, like the big distinction that I do want to make is I'm going to be talking about two different things, and they're all in the same world, but they have intentionally different applications and takeaways. So we have a website, a traditional website, and we have a sales page. And obviously based on the naming, you can kind of get a feel for them. But websites, the way that I think about websites is, yes, obviously they should be helping you sell, but websites in general help validate decisions. So the way that they kind of come into the buying process is you've already done something to get this person's attention. You've literally met them and you've talked to them. And now they're kind of like pulse checking, like, okay, like what's this person have to offer? What's this business have to offer? Your social media has attracted people to your site. You've been on podcast episodes, like whatever the case may be, you've done something to get into people's psyche enough for them to be like, okay, I want to learn more. Websites then validate those decisions, which is why so often and why it's so important to have things like your work, your portfolio, your case studies, your results, your testimonials, your frequently asked questions, because they're going through it being like, okay, like kind of, I'm picking up what they're putting down a little bit, but like I need to know more. Sales pages on the opposite coin are similar but different. They obviously sit within your website, but they are designed to just really be that 1-2 punch. They're designed to be so concise and so impactful and so built in the like, you are ready to go right now. And this page with everything that you're reading is kind of validating your decision, taking you further, making you feel even more seen, and then being like, when you're offered the next step, it's like, oh yeah, I need to take that right now. So while we use them for different use cases, they all need to be part of the larger marketing and sales ecosystem. And again, helping to bring people from that high funnel through the conversion, regardless of where they fall in the individual steps. Okay. So either point that we're starting on this, like pick your own journey, here's what I do know and what I can tell you about anyone who's coming to either of those things for you. You literally have 0.05 seconds to capture someone's attention and make them decide, are you worth staying or are you leaving? And that's why bounce rates can be crazy, because it's literally like, oh, no, never mind. In about that time frame that it just took me to say that. And what's so critical here is that like visitors are there. In those 0.5 seconds, you need to be able to prove to them and like understand that you know them enough that you can prove to them that you can solve their problem. You need to know their problem well enough. You need to know how they're thinking about it. You need to be able to at least get them to like take that next or scroll down a little bit more to see how you solve the problem. But it really starts with like always and everything. What can this business do for me? So marrying all that with like 0.5 seconds, you got to be really intentional. And yes, I will also say that is branding and vibe. It all comes in here. That is so important, but it is secondary to really ensuring and proving the larger I get you and I can help you that happens immediately when someone lands on any of your pages. The other kind of like macro conversation that I have with a lot of clients when we start talking about whether or not it's the right time to start thinking about a site or a sales page for them is that an underperforming, a bad website isn't neutral. Like if it's not converting, it's not neutral, it's actually working against you. Because we got to think about it this way. It is every single lead that you fought to get across every conversation you had, every piece of marketing you put out there, however you're getting your leads, every ad you ran, every dollar you put behind the ads you ran, but it's every lead that you made sure to get there that didn't convert. So it's wasted time, energy, money. And so often, like, you don't even know that they came there. It also attributes to every single phone call you get on, like a sales call, a consultation, informational, whatever the case may be, where you then have to spend so much time building your authority, validating like why you're the right person for them, making sure that like they understand the credibility and the experience and the results that you bring to the table, rather than having something that already did the heavy lifting for you, so that those calls or that next step can be more of a vibe check of a like, oh yeah, I just want to like understand the logistics, like make sure it made sense. Like I had some questions, but like I'm already ready to go. Like those are so possible for you. That's kind of what I've gotten to with my intake process. And let me tell you, it is such a game changer and also such a confidence boost to go into it knowing that like if they've gotten to this point through all of the touch points that you've provided, like through your marketing, through your website, through your sales pages, it is just such a confidence boost kind of knowing they already like want to be here. Like we're just like validating some things, as opposed to the beginning of my business where I was just kind of like, well, let me tell you about myself. Here's like what I bring to the table. And it's almost like you're begging people to like take notice and to like bet on you. And on the flip side of that, it's websites and sales pages done right are your pre-qualifier to see if someone is right for you or not. Because again, how often do you like, get someone into a program or you like, get someone onto a sales call or whatever the case may be, and you're just like, I'm not so sure about them for whatever reason. Like I can tell you so many horror stories about that. Didn't need to like pull my hair back as sassy as I did for anyone watching, but the act of repelling the wrong fits is just as important as attracting the right fit. So like I always say, marketing is like a magnet. You need to be attracting the right people, but to the same degree, you also really need to be repelling the wrong fits. And so making sure that your website, your sales pages are set up for that and are really clear where people can either like self-select or you're just kind of like, this is who it's for, this is who I'm not for. That is so valuable because then we're not talking to the wrong people. We're not wasting our time. We're not wasting our energy. We're not being like, oh my God, why did I get a bad lead again? Whatever the case may be. That is so valuable to just kind of like moving forward, doing the things you want to do in the world, helping the people you're supposed to help, and like not bothering with the ones who are not going to be the right fit for you. I talked about this a little bit earlier, but like another cost is really like I see opportunity cost being neglected so often, because I've had a few clients that literally said, someone asked me for my website, I didn't want to send it to them. I was like, can I send you anything else? So just like think about it when you are in that state, when you don't have something that you're like, oh my gosh, yes, this is me. And also I know it's like doing the job that I wanted to do. You're not putting yourself out there more. When people do talk to you, you're kind of a little bit more sheepish of like, okay, well, where do I send them? What do I do with this? And you're just not showing up in the way that you know you could be. And people feel that. Like for as much as I want to be like business strategy, blah, 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 like I'm not. Like I think vibes are so important. I think energy is so important. And people really do feel through whatever's under the surface, no matter how you're presenting. So I can't tell you like the pep in their step that I see clients have, where all of a sudden they have something that like is reflective of them, is up to date, looks beautiful, also like is designed to convert. And they are just a whole new person. Like they are ready to go out there and be like, hey, I'm Katie. Nice to meet you. Like go here. And go here is obviously the website or the sales page, but I think you got that. So, okay. So we understand kind of like what's going on, and we understand a lot of the issues that it's causing and like the real way that it is dragging your business down. But here's why I see a lot of that happening. The biggest thing I see when you go for like a traditional designer, which means like purely focused on like the design, graphics, like creating something beautiful with like baseline, like I know what a website should look like, is they're designing what you want, not necessarily what you need. Like it really does need to be something that does look good, that is attractive to your right audience, that does aesthetically, visibly reflect you, but it's also got to be based on the buyer cycle and their journey and sales psychology, and making sure that we are not getting overwhelmed with something that looks good and we're actually creating something that moves them through it to say yes to working with you if they are the right fit. It's wild to me that in like 2026, I'm still seeing this, but a lot of designers, like pure designers, are also not building or I should say incorporating SEO. So they're not understanding how to design on the front end to work with SEO and GEO. And they're also not understanding on the back end how to write that metadata. But it's 2026, people. Like we do need to make sure that like every single touch point is grounded in SEO, and now even more importantly in GEO, because even me, like I see it on my intake forms of like when I ask people how they found out about me, like a few people have just been like ChatGPT. And that's because we're building websites to work with ChatGPT, Claude, all of those things. But so like, let's start to talk about how we can fix it. And it's a few different things, and I can like spend hours on this. So I'm going to try to keep it intentionally high level right now. But first and foremost, it needs to start and end with who your buyer is. So how are they feeling? What do they need to see from you? What will build their confidence that you or your business are the right solution to them? Like that you and your business can actually solve their need. And it's kind of like the unsexy part of the experience, but like it really has to be so grounded in the strategy. So we really need to be so clear and so intentional on, yes, I say it for every single channel, but like, who are we talking to? How are they feeling? Where do they want to go? What do they need to hear from us to build that trust in us, in our process, in themselves, to know that when they work with us, they're actually going to get the results that they are looking for. And from all of that, and making sure that like we really, really deeply understand their pain points and their desires, and we can speak to that in a way that like they're going to hear us, because we also need to be positioning it to them from their point of view. That's when we start to then build out like, okay, well, what's the copy? What's the actual movement that we're taking them through? All of that stuff. And then from there, then do we move into the design? Like, it's so funny, like you're doing a website design, but like the design part is kind of the last part to happen. Other kind of quick tips that like I'm always looking at when I am looking at like someone's like current site experience and like where we want to go is, so if you remember like newspapers, you've always heard like above the fold, where it was just kind of like whatever was above the fold on the front page is like that headline, how you're getting people to buy your newspapers. Similar but different to websites, like we call it above the scroll. So it's like, what can they see before they start scrolling up? I'm like using my thumb as if I'm on my phone, but also like imagine mouse if you're on desktop. But that's where you've got to get people immediately. That's like where you really do have that 0.05 seconds to validate, like, am I sticking around or am I not? So is it really clear on like why I'm here, what value it is to me, and that you can help get me to where I want to go? And that's kind of the highest leverage fix that like I'll often have people start with if they're just touching up their website and we're not actually doing like a full thing for them. And then also like, I know I was just talking about it in part of the problem, but like we also need to make sure that like from the jump, that our SEO and our GEO are built into it from day one, not something that comes after. So like for a lot of my clients, like we will build sites where it's the SEO, the GEO is baked into it, and then we can roll them on to like a longer term program that continues to build momentum and optimize on the SEO and the GEO. But it has to be there from the beginning. If you're just building something and neglecting that, like how are people finding you? Otherwise, you know, like it has to be there. And then another very practical point that I see like a lot of, especially like my larger, more tenured clients who come to me. So if you are a solopreneur who's like been DIYing everything yourself, this isn't going to make sense to you. But I also think that like clients really need to regain their own power in managing their sites, because so often I see something, and this is kind of what leads to that embarrassment loop that I was talking about. But I see something that was like handed over to a client or like handed down to them that was done years ago, and it was built in code. It like looks like it's still out of the like late 90s. It just is not, like, it has inaccurate, out of date information, but they don't even have the login details to fix it. So that's just a whole other set point of like something that actually grinds my gears of like, how do you not, as a designer or as someone building a website, like how do you then gatekeep it from them? But I also think that's kind of like a slimy sales tactic, because it turns into them then needing to like pay them to continue to manage it and all that stuff. But that, I'm digressing. But back to the matter at hand, a website that converts, it is a true business asset, because when it is designed right and built correctly, the person who does come to you has already kind of done their research. They've selected in, they validated that like, yes, you are the person for me. You understand my needs. You can actually help me get to where I want to go. So they come to you, they take that next step, whether it's buying like a low ticket offer, whether it is jumping on a sales call, whether it's jumping into a program, whether it is buying some good or service, they are already more confident. And then from there, they really come into your world like ready to go. Like they've either taken the action or they jump on the sales call, like not needing to be convinced. And it just makes for a greater experience for everyone involved. But on the flip side to that, when it's not built right, you are doing all of that manually every single time. So you are constantly trying to find new people to talk to. You are constantly trying to sell yourself. You are constantly trying to build your credibility and authority. Like when you do get people on the phone, you are doing your same spiel that could have been handled by your website or your sales page. So if this episode feels uncomfortable because maybe it hits a little bit too close to home, hopefully you have some thoughts on like where you can start and some updates that you can start to make right now on your own pages and sites. For the record, I have a few quick hitting programs that like, if you know that this is where you are and not where you want to be and not where you see yourself going, and you are ready to create something that is beautiful and something that you are so proud of aesthetically, but that also delivers the impact and drives your business forward, we can talk. I say it and you'll see it across some of our marketing materials. Like everything that we do is stunningly smart because we care about aesthetics. We care about vibe. We care about brand consistency. So we want to make sure that something looks good, but it also needs to work for you. So we can help you turn this around super quickly. I have a website in a week program and a sales page in a day program. I will drop the link to connect and like talk more about that. If you're interested, it'll be in the show notes. But if not, then I want you to start looking at everything we chatted through in this program. As you make those changes, as you get to be more intentional, more strategic, more aware of the little like nuances and caveats that need to happen on a website in order for it to show up in the right places, in order for people to stick around once they get there, start by implementing those changes that we talked about here. And slowly but surely, you will start to see the fruits of your labor. There are a million other things that you should be doing on top of that, but start with those. Let's not overwhelm. But yeah, let this be your firm but loving reminder that a bad website, a bad sales page is not just a neutral thing. It is actively dragging you down if you are not working on it, if you are not working with it. So however you get to where you're going, I wish you the best of luck. If you need help, I've got you. But you too can and should have stunningly smart everything in your business. So that is my hope for you. And I'll talk to you guys later.